Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
We got a soup terrorist. Rayner's blowing a canister, and we're the most wanted in the country. But don't you worry. Daddy's home.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, the boys Gen V special. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the spin-off from the Amazon smash hit, it's my partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello buddy, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good man, you?
Yeah, do you know what, I've been better, but I'm okay.
Okay, well, I mean, do you want to elaborate? Now you've started it with I've been better.
Do you know what? Not massively. Do you know what? Men's mental health isn't still spoken about anywhere near enough, and at the moment, I am not doing great, but I am doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But the boys is back, so you know.
It is.
We're all good.
So, The Boys is a massive comic book adaptation for Amazon. It sort of was a show I sort of caught a trailer for once and I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. It's a different take on the superhero genre. It's going to be very adult, it seems, and then I was just absolutely blown away. The show is both equal parts disgusting and gross and engrossing.
It's it was a completely different spin. The whole profit over anything else kind of take of the superheroes is something that we've never seen the superhero business run as a business.
Yeah, I mean, it was just very, and also very kind of, Black Mirror holding up to society, kind of.
Very cleverly, yeah.
If superheroes really existed, this is actually probably more likely how it would go.
Yeah,
which is a bit disturbing, but also kind of fun to explore. The other aspect to it, I mean, so we had 3 seasons. A couple of seasons, just really good, really great content, and then they announced a spin-off, and me and you talk about a lot of different shows,
we do.
And whenever there's a spin-off and stuff, we're like, okay, great, we'll follow that, and the spin-offs we've really struggled with, probably just because of our age and who we are the ones that go teenage. So it's kind of like, hey, we got this universe we've set up, everyone's really enjoying it, and now we're going to introduce you to a bunch of young characters still at school. And don't get me wrong, there is definitely an audience for that. It's probably just not me. I'm just like, oh, teenagers, seriously, the angst, it does my head in.
Yeah, like, it's a very clever way of getting a younger audience into it. I'm sure we're going to see it very soon in, like, the MCU. That's been around for, like, 14, 15 years now. So,
well, I mean,
the 20-year-olds...
are, really.
Well, yeah, the 20-year-olds are now, like, 35, so they need to bring in a fresh audience. And like the Young Avengers and stuff they did in the comics, I'm sure that will come to light to bring in a new audience. And then The Walking Dead tried to do the same thing.
Well, this is where I was going to go with
that's what led me to this fear.
So Gen V was announced, and I kind of just like, oh no, superheroes, but it's school. And I'm like, this is going to be hell. And the main reason why I thought that, I think, was because of The Walking Dead World Beyond, where I spent every episode just being so aggravated at the dumbass crap the teenagers were doing and saying and what they were stressing about. Like, oh, I don't know if so-and-so likes me. It's like, there's a zombie chasing you. Really? Is now the time?
Yeah, you're in a car surrounded by the dead. Oh, but he might not think my hair looks good.
Did you think I got side-eye? And it was just really frustrating. I had this kind of fear that, oh no, this is basically going to be The Boys like that. And I read an interview.
Yeah.
That's probably the name of one of the characters in this show. I do want to say this. Now, if you watch The Boys and you watch The Boys Gen V, then really nothing we say on this show should offend. However, I do have to say that because of the genre of the show, you may find yourself after this podcast swearing a little bit more than you usually do. But like I said, look, if you watch these shows and enjoy them, yeah, you really shouldn't be offended by anything we say.
No, this is like the one podcast we can do that pretty much we don't have to filter ourselves. Yeah, we can just go with it.
Yeah, because, like I said, if you're a fan of these shows, then really we shouldn't offend. But so I just want to make that clear up front that we will be very much an R rating throughout this podcast.
Yes.
But like I said, it was kind of like, oh no. And then I saw this interview with one of the writers, I think. I can't think of it now. And he basically said that the show was going to link in heavily. And I kind of was like, oh, that means I've got to watch it. So that again, it was kind of like, that's really annoying me. And then he said something at the end of it, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to try and clear my mind and go into it with an open mind. And what he said was, I think a lot of the fans of The Boys are going to be really surprised at just how similar a tone we set with this, just in a different place.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, all right, go on. Open-minded, Samuel, go into it. Just, like, don't prejudge it based on the other crap you got fed by a different show. Let's just see where we go.
Yeah.
And I think I got a few minutes into episode 1, and the words, "Oh my fucking God, that is so gross. What the fuck am I watching?" And I wrote that down, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's The Boys.
Pretty much.
This is it.
Yeah. This didn't even necessarily have to be its own show. This could have just been The Boys season, like the next season of The Boys, and it would have fitted perfectly, just them showing different characters, It was well done.
Yeah, just really messed up. So,
yeah.
Let's dive in. I mean, we're going to sort of take a walk through it. It's 8 episodes. So the only other thing I'm going to say is, we originally planned to break this down into 2 parts. Part A, Part B, where we talk through episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 5, 6, 7, and 8.
Yes.
However, just through circumstance, we weren't able to do that. So basically, we're going to do one show talking about the season. It's going to be broad brushstrokes, obviously, because we just don't have the time and no one wants to listen to an 8-hour in one go podcast. But because of the level of content and how good it was, we're delighted to say that Gen V has been renewed. So there will be a season 2. The pre-production has already started on it. And therefore, we will absolutely, for the next season, do it episodically like we do with The Boys. Because there is definitely enough to talk about, which is something we weren't sure there would be when we first looked at this. And we were like, okay, we'll do it in 2 parts. But it became pretty obvious pretty fast. Crap. Okay.
Yeah, we could have done it like this, yeah.
Yeah. So, it is The Boys Gen V. It is season 1, and there were 8 episodes. The title of episode 1?
God, You.
Episode 2?
First Day.
Episode 3?
Hashtag ThinkBrink.
Episode 4?
The Whole Truth.
Episode 5?
Welcome to the Monster Club.
Episode 6?
Jumanji.
Episode 7?
Sick.
By the way, did you get nervous when you saw that episode title, thinking just how much more sick? Yeah. Okay, and episode 8.
The Guardians of Godolkin.
The show doesn't hide its kind of taking the piss out of other superhero stuff very thinly, does it?
No, it's not particularly.
It's like
the
right
Guardians
there.
of Godolkin. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen something similar to that before.
So I'm gonna read out my notes for the very start of this season, okay? And then you can run with it. So this is what I've written from my initial notes from episode 1, the opening sequence. Episode 1 opens 8 years ago with a family watching A-Train join the 7 on TV. It's a young black family proud that this is the first black member of the 7. A young girl gets her period in the bathroom, manifests her powers manipulating blood. It then kills her parents by mistake, and her sister sees everything and is traumatized. What the fuck am I watching? Those are my notes to kick off.
That pretty much sums up. Yeah, I was like as soon as she accidentally explodes her father.
Yeah.
Or explodes her mother, and then her father dies because like a rib goes through his head. I was like, you're watching, you're like, yeah, I'm watching The Boys.
Yeah.
It's fucking diabolical. Yep.
Yeah, I just I didn't know where to go with that. I was just like, what an opening. I mean, I genuinely think that the people writing this, someone should just like sit them all down in a room and go, "Are you all alright? Is everyone here okay?" Like, yeah. I mean, do some of you need a hug? Because Jesus, the minds. It set the tone though. I think, you know, like we've talked about The Boys, and the tone of The Boys is very much that, you know, engrossing and gross.
Yep.
And just kind of like, oh wow, and doing that is the very opening of episode 1 did set the tone of holy crap. Okay, this is where we are.
I feel like they kind of did it to make sure that we were aware, you know, look, this is following the same line. Don't you worry about The Boys. Like, this is going to be the same sort of track. Don't you worry.
What did you, and this is a real side note, when this project was announced, it was called The Boys Gen V. They actually dropped that and just called it Gen V. Like, the show is literally just called Gen V. There's no... we all know it's a Boys spin-off, but why do you think they did that? Like, I was looking at it and I was thinking, I can't think of a marketing reason why you do that.
I think it was purely... That's the thing, I think purely it was done to make it a standalone so that it didn't get prejudged. Yeah. But at the same time, it's from the Boys universe and there are multiple cameos throughout this.
Yeah, I mean, like,
and it's like, oh, okay. So
I mean, it links. It links pretty much straight away. Like, the very next thing that happens is we see that young girl is now an older teenager, because obviously the 8 years have passed. We're up to present day. Her name is Marie, and she is at the group home that we saw Hughie and Starlight visit in The Boys.
Yeah.
So we've seen that before. We've seen that set up. We know about it.
The links are instantly there. Yeah.
Yeah, straight away. And she's basically then finds out that she's got a scholarship to go to Godolphin University. Godolphin University, we learn very quickly, is the go-to school for soups. Basically, it's like a vault-funded school for young people with abilities. And you go to this school and your ambition is to become a hero. And obviously everyone's ambition is to get into the 7, but even like street level or to go into acting, which is the other thing that sort of cracks me up continuously.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you want to be in the crime fighting program? Well, we don't think you're good enough for that, so you're going into the acting program. It's like, wow. So there's people with abilities and they're just like, yeah, you're just going to be an actor with that because... yeah, we don't like you. So like I said, she gets this scholarship. She goes to Godolphin. Straight away, like so her roommate. Let's talk about her roommate straight away. So we get introduced to Emma. Emma has an ability where she can shrink down. Initially, and I will say initially, because later on we learn that okay, maybe it's not just this. We find out that to make herself shrink, she has to throw up. So she literally has to make herself sick, and as she's more and more sick, she gets smaller and smaller and smaller. One of the things that is said, like she has like a YouTube channel, like a social media, and she's like fighting things when she's small, like beating up a gerbil sort of thing. It's like, okay, whatever. And she's trying to get views. And this is like a running theme during this with the teenagers, that these superhero kids are like running their socials and are trying to do anything they can, even if it is absolutely shitting on other people.
Oh, yes.
To climb the ladder, get more views, get more likes. Again, as like a social construct looking at the world, I mean, first of all, what did you think about Emma in that initial meeting? And second of all, what did you think about the kind of running theme throughout the whole season of these teenagers and the socials?
Isn't it exactly what I imagine like that sort of a place would be? Like, in fact, it's probably exactly what any university is anyway. Yeah. I can become a popular kid. I'm going to shun everyone underneath me to do it. The fact that the way they use these socials and stuff, and they kind of it was great. I thought it was just bloody brilliant, if I'm honest. Like it was proper holding a mirror up to like what you would expect to happen in real society. Like, they've taken this show, and there's so many things that they've done in both the boys' show and in this that are kind of like almost more than holding a mirror up to society, but doing it in such a over the top way that they get away with it.
Yeah,
and stuff like this, I think it's just brilliant the way they do it. Feel sorry for Emma with the whole truth being out there the way it is, but you instantly kind of go, poor kid.
Yeah, I mean, Emma's character is straight away. I liked her straight away. She seemed quite nice.
Yeah.
And she seems when you meet her mother later on, you can kind of see why she's the way she is in a lot of ways. But Emma is a part of a scene where, to be honest with you, once again, my notes, if I just read you the notes, I think is probably the best way to go on this. Emma meets a guy, hits it off. He seems to be really interested in her ability to shrink more than he is interested in her. He getting hot and heavy, asks her to shrink. She shrinks right down. Oh my god, there's a scene with her on a giant penis. How did they film this? What the fuck am I watching? She's literally holding on to a dick. The guy's saying, doesn't it seem big? And she's like, yeah, relatively.
In perspective, yeah.
That scene.
Oh
again,
my god.
I mean, where do you even start with that?
I'm genuinely worried about the creators of The Boys because, like, you know, this is not the first time. Like,
no.
Penises are quite a big thing. Yeah, like obviously the love sausage.
Well, for some, yeah.
Yeah, for him. We have explosions of penises a few times now. We've had that, including in this show. There's something there. There is someone somewhere that has had something kind of against them. You know. But yeah,
with this, I mean, I'm just.
This one is.
Her sat on the balls, slapping them like she was a rodeo. I mean, I'm watching just the visuals.
Yeah,
the visuals of this. I mean, I was just, I was gone. I was helpless.
It's kind of you either laugh or you turn it off. I think that, like, you know, it's one of those kind of. If you are a big fan of The Boys, you're watching that scene and you're laughing. If you're someone who's just casually put it on as let's see what this is all about. It's probably this scene is probably the one where she lets go of the tip and slides down, landing on his balls for enjoyment. I think that's probably the point when you go, not for me.
Yeah, I'm still. I'd love to just see behind the scenes. Like, there must be outtakes. There must be just some of the most strangest props ever.
I mean, how do you film that? Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
I want to know if there's actually
today,
a 20-foot
today on
penis.
set we've got an 8-foot penis, and you're gonna ride it. What? Yeah, beat that, deep throat. Anyway, so there's that scene. We meet Golden Boy. Golden Boy is very aptly named and kind of hilariously named, as in, you know, someone who's the top dog at the school. You'd name them Golden Boy. Yeah. And he is exactly that. He is destined to be part of the Seven. People are saying it like he's powerful like Homelander. He is, and he does appear to be as well. You know, the guy can fly. He does a demonstration and rips a guy apart. Luckily, the guy has the ability to grow back, it would seem, so that's okay.
Yeah, that wasn't a weird scene at all. Yeah,
just a lot. But yeah, so we meet him. My initial take straight away is like he's going to be a jock idiot. However, he's actually not, which is quite interesting. Like he's actually just like a normal kid, but very, very powerful. And he's actually really struggling because he keeps having dreams of being in woods. And he keeps having these kind of visions, and he's sort of struggled with it. And he's got a girlfriend who's there sort of supporting him. And so he's kind of, and he's got his best friend as well. And you're kind of just looking at him like, okay, all right, there's a little bit more depth to Golden Boy than what we're gonna see. What I was expecting initially when you hear the name, and see what he's doing. Also in this opening episode, we see an evening where Marie's walking along, sort of getting her bearings at Godolkin, and a boy sort of runs past her shouting about he's escaped, you know. And he actually shouts, "Get away from the woods." Now, so straight away, Golden Boy's having these dreams of being in the woods. We've just seen this guy running, being chased down by like security. She actually helps capture him in this moment. And you know, he's shouting about the woods. So straight away, my notes are just like, what is the woods? Because clearly this is a thing.
This is a link now, yeah.
Yeah, clearly this is... something is going on here. And we have that kind of like, okay, we've seen him having these nightmares. We know what's going on. Now, someone saw Marie do that, and it was Golden Boy's bestie. Yeah. Whose name escapes me right now.
Andre.
Andre, thank you. Andre befriends Marie and invites her out on a night out. Golden Boy, his girlfriend, they're sort of all out having a party. Andre's showing off for a lady, and manages to, sort of showing off, trying to get laid, you know, like a teenager. Yeah. But using his abilities, showing off, someone moves, and he ends up slicing someone's throat open, and they're bleeding out on the ground. They are going to try and run, like get the hell out of there. But actually, Marie can use her ability with manipulating blood and holds the blood inside the woman and saves her life. Yeah. Which is kind of nuts. Like, so we've seen her power is gross, by the way. And up to this point...
Oh, God, yeah. That's not a cool power. That's...
And... Yeah, it's gross. And so up to this point, it's just every time she used it as like an offensive weapon or anything like that, you just been like, oh, this is kind of gross.
So we get like a little training montage, don't we, of her kind of using it as
cutting her hands and manipulating them. Yeah, so it's messed up. And then we see her do this, and I'm like, oh wow, so there's more to it. Like this isn't just like manipulating her own blood; it's all blood. Okay, that's really interesting. So we see that she basically saves the day in that moment. She literally saves this person's life. She is the hero. However, when she gets back to Godolkin, she is expelled for it because they want to cover it up. You know, Golden Boy and Andre, etc., are like, you know, the top dogs at the university. We
it's literally like them. The top 4 people at the university are all out. Drinks and drugs and almost killed someone. Yeah, we can't let that make the press. So
so basically, Marie, you're gone.
You're the one they caught on camera. Bye.
So this is Brink, Professor Brink, who's done this, and we're kind of like, holy crap, you know, what's going to happen now? And she sort of goes off. She don't know what to do, etc. But then she kind of builds up the confidence to go back and confront him. But when she does, Golden Boy's in there, and Golden Boy kills him and like literally sort of hugs him to death. And then Golden Boy starts to rip through the university. Yeah. And Marie doesn't tries once and then realizes, I am seriously overmatched here. It's like there's no point me doing anything. But Brink has like a TA, like a student there who's like manning the desk helping.
Good old Jordan.
And Jordan is powerful enough to at least hold his own. I say her. Their own. So the boys are fantastic at, like I said, holding up a mirror to society and everything. And I think the boys have written here a character who is both male and female, and quite literally is both male and female. Like the power is they can transform between the two. They have great strength, etc. They're like really powerful character. And they seem to just transition between being either male or female. There's 2 actors playing the role. And they, it's kind of strange. Like one time sort of sat there, sort of quiet girl or anything like that. And then all of a sudden there's this guy and but it's one character. It's very well done. Very well done. But Jordan does hold their own against Golden Boy. And basically then Andre arrives and talks to him, calms him, and Golden Boy sort of looks around, doesn't know what to do, and then just jumps up into the air and kills himself by exploding himself.
And that was the end of the first episode, and you're sat there just going, what the fuck?
Yeah,
just going
literally
on?
covered everyone in guts and blood and just exploded himself in the air. You kind of like seeing Superman just like, you know what, no one can kill me, but I've had enough, and just, yeah, boom.
Yeah.
It was messed up.
Oh, it was so messed up. So. Everyone's just stood there with, like, Golden Boy dripping off their hair and stuff, and it's like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. So...
And these flaming cucumbers, I think he's called. Yeah.
Nasty. So, like you said, I mean, that's kind of like just episode 1 in a nutshell. Now we're just going to sort of take a general walk through now without sort of diving into specifics. From that point, you've got the mystery around the woods. We see Golden Boy's whispered something to Andre, and Andre reveals to Golden Boy's girlfriend, whose name again escapes me. Kate, thank you, man. And so Kate and Andre are kind of talking. He's like, he said about finding his brother, and Kate's like, oh, his brother's like dead or something. And he's like, no, he's adamant. He's somewhere like called the woods. He's here. And you're like, oh, okay, so there's even more to this. The woods again.
Yeah.
What's going on? The one thing that happens then, which I was kind of like, really, is so Golden Boy's best friend is Andre.
Yeah.
His girlfriend is Kate. In the very next episode, those two get it on.
Yeah.
Like, literally, he has just died. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I was kind of... And I actually wrote down in my notes, like, seriously, horny teenagers, what the hell?
Yeah. Grief shag.
And I was kind of expecting a kind of fallout from that of like, oh, wow, we shouldn't have done that. You know, it was the grief, whatever. But actually, no. During the episodes, we learned that they were actually at it for a while behind his back. So, like, Golden Boy really, you know, kind of really, he's like, he really did get screwed over. And, like, the name Golden Boy and the way he appears initially, and yet he was not, you know, he was really troubled. There was no kind of, he had all this power and everything, but all the people around him were just screwing him over.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah, that was quite... You don't, you know, the name Golden Boy and him being number 1, he's going to be in the 7 and all that stuff. It just sort of was a very clever way of doing it. It's like, look, this guy had all the power in the world. He had all the abilities you could ever... He had the looks. He had everything going for him. But actually, he had all the same problems as anybody can.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting, I thought. You mentioned it briefly earlier on about Emma making a friend and then that friend just absolutely betraying her for likes and views online.
Yeah.
It's in the second episode that happens, and basically the friend plasters it all over the internet that Emma has to make herself sick and says like she's got an eating disorder is her ability. It was quite brutal, really. But again, I think it was a very valid storyline to weave into this because it fit, you know, it wasn't out of place. And also a very important thing again about people trampling over people for fame. And just how backbiting and shitty, you know, social media, it can be a really quite nice place sometimes. Like, I've said it before, I mean, I've left social media now for lots of reasons, but I said it before that, like, come Christmas and, like, sometimes summer holidays and stuff, and I'd see old friends posting pictures of their kids and stuff, having a great time. It was nice. You know, social media can be really lovely in those points.
Yep.
But then there's also aspects of it that just be awful. And for young people especially, like, you know, when I was at school, if I was getting bullied and getting crap at school, when I went home, I was safe. That was my safe, you know, I was away from it.
Now it's online.
There's no escape.
Yeah.
You know, it's all online. So you literally cannot escape being bullied anymore. And it's something that I think, although it is talked about and, you know, some things are done, it's just not enough is done about it. You know, just parents need to be more aware of what their kids are doing with this kind of stuff. And I'm not just talking about parents of the kids being bullied. I mean, the parents of the kids doing the bullying. So yeah. I can guarantee you 90% of them would be appalled if they knew their kids were doing that.
Oh, yeah.
So it is just a case of, again, holding this mirror up, and just the interesting part of this of, I want likes and people to like me, and rather than doing something inventive, creative, so people like that, I'm going to shit on you because that'll get me likes, and unfortunately that's all too easy for people. So, as we discussed, Golden Boy did whisper something to Andre. Andre and Kate go and find a lab, and we get a scene that proper cracked me up. So, up to this point, we've had a very sort of hint at Kate's powers, but Kate, in essence, if she touches you and tells you to do something, you'll do it. No matter what she says.
Oh, yeah. Throughout this season, that has a few interesting... Yeah.
So Andre goes into the lab and is stopped by a security guard. He's trying to find his way down there, trying to see what's going on. And basically, Kate shows up, in essence, to save him. Like, she followed him there. And she tells the security guard... Well, I wrote down flashlight scene.
Yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yeah. Oh, mate, you don't forget something quite like that.
Do you remember what she told him to do?
No, luckily I've blocked that part out of my head. I know it wasn't.
That was a great sentence. You don't forget something like that. Do you remember it? No.
No, I don't remember the exact wording, but I'm happy to.
Yeah. So she basically told him to go down on his flashlight until he choked on it. Anyway. It was special, and the fact is that when you don't even then have to see him do anything because you know what's gonna happen.
Yep.
Very messed up. So as we said before, Marie was expelled. However, with Brink killed and Vought trying to get the university to cover everything up, the Woods is mentioned during a call between Vought and the dean of the university. Like, is it safe? Yes, it is. Okay, you need to stay on top of this, you need to do things to try and, cover this up. They actually move Marie into the top 10 rankings, which for a first year at the university is unheard of. And they do this because they're telling everyone that she stopped Golden Boy. Part of their cover-up is, look at this wonderful hero who stopped Golden Boy. In reality, it was Jordan. Yeah. However, in this conference call... Well, she's black, it meets a minority quota we got to do, she'll play better in these states, and Jordan, no one in the Bible Belt, etc. is going to accept the trans superhero, so yeah, just bump them, and just say it was all Marie.
Yeah.
And Marie kind of goes along with it. What were your thoughts on that? I mean, don't get me wrong, I didn't think at any point she was consciously sort of, yeah, it was me, but just kind of press ganged and was just kind of going with the flow. I mean, what's your opinion?
She certainly got a big Shanghai with the whole thing. But she goes, I mean, again, we say about the holding the mirror up to society.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole, no, Jordan won't be accepted in any of these states. That's going to hurt our ratings. So, this girl fits a lot of criteria, and it looks like she's going to be easily manipulated. We'll take her instead. Yeah, it's like, oh, damn. And Marie, at this point, Marie is so just kind of determined, be a hero, find my sister. That's all she cares about.
Yeah.
And she's just gone from being expelled to, we're going to put you in the top 10, but you need to do this, this, and this. And all of a sudden, she's like, okay, this is my way to the top. She mentions, I think she mentions to Jordan, I don't know you guys. You guys don't know me. I don't owe you anything. You guys got me expelled. Why would I? Well, I don't care.
Yeah. It is a valid point of view. She's looking out for herself. We have this kind of massive function going on at the university, and parents are visiting. Emma's mum comes, who we mentioned before, and Emma ends up drinking heavily because of her mother, which I'm not really surprised.
I can relate.
We notice the dean is getting very close to Marie. I mean, I've written down the dean's getting close to her, grooming / manipulating her.
Yep.
And so, that was kind of thing. We see a flashback where Golden Boy, it says it's 3 years ago, and him and Kate are visiting his brother in a mental ward. and he's sort of like just really upset seeing his brother that unwell. So again, there's that kind of flashback, and I've just written in my notes, like, I think that's the same kid we saw escape.
Yes.
It turns out it was.
Yeah.
but that was just in my notes. So it's kind of like, so we know he's not dead now. After seeing this flashback, we know not only is he not dead, he is there at Godolkin somewhere. And it must be in a kind of the woods, whatever they were calling it. We see Jordan and their parents, and that's kind of an interesting interaction where parents are just kind of promoting, like, oh, you're so great, but they are not comfortable with him transitioning to her and her transitioning back to him. That seems to really freak the father out, if nothing else.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't accept that one as well. Yeah.
No, so that was a fun interaction, and again, probably very apt for society. We see a cameo from the Deep via video at the big function party. I mean, I wanted to note that down. I was desperate at someone to be watching the Deep Thoughts with the Deep videos at some point, but we didn't get that. I don't know if anyone's ever seen these. If you're a fan of the Boys, he did an entire series of like 100, I think, Deep Thoughts with the Deep, and they're just ridiculous.
Oh wow!
All of them, and he did like 100 of them. They're everywhere, like on YouTube. I imagine they're all over TikTok. Yeah, it's just every single one of them are just, they're not deep thoughts. It's like, why is the sea blue? It's just like Deep Thoughts with the Deep. Yeah, messed up. Actually, some of them are pretty messed up. He insinuates the reason why the sea tastes salty is to do with whales, and there. Anyway, we'll just move on from that.
Yeah.
So there is this big function and parties going on. We see Andre speak to Emma. So Andre's talking to Emma. She's had a few to drink, and he's basically like, I want you to help me find someone. And I think because she's had a couple to drink, and it's Andre, who's like one of the top kids at the university, she's kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll do whatever. So she shrinks down and sneaks into this facility, which we're all aware now is called the Woods.
Yeah.
She shrinks down into it and basically breaks into a room to try and find Sam. And she does find him, and he is not a well kid. He doesn't believe she's real to begin with, which is kind of a funny interaction.
Oh my god, he's asking her to like answer questions about himself, and she's like, how the hell would I know that?
Yeah.
What?
You got to remember, she's a little bit tipsy, and when she shrunk down, I think it's made it worse. So, like, she was a bit drunk, she shrunk, and I think she's now like, woo! So it's kind of
proper drunk.
Like, yeah, so like the interaction between the two of her being shrunk down and drunk, him basically have been locked up in a mental hospital, knows he has mental health issues, so is kind of looking at her like, well, you can't be real because you're tiny.
It's like a little drunk tiny person on my food tray. What the hell?
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. They do interact, and they do make a pretty quick connection, and it's quite sweet. But the one thing that happens is she lies to him and says that his brother sent her, which puts him at ease.
Yeah.
But I was kind of like, that's going to bite you in the ass.
Yeah, that was one of those instant, like, oh, that was a bad idea. I understand why, but...
Yeah, I can kind of understand it, but I feel like that all you've done is delayed a very bad conversation.
Yeah.
The guards cotton on to something's going on, alarms go off. He tells her to get back up where she is really, really quickly, and basically the floor gets electrocuted. So he's like on the floor getting fried. She's up on like a bookshelf watching. A guard comes in and is looking around. And this is where, again, the boys, she basically jumps through the guy's ear, taking out his brain, and kills him, and comes out the other ear just covered in blood and brain and goop.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
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 But it does lead to probably my favourite line in the entire series, which is the Dean investigating the next day how the hell Sam's escaped. Guards are dead everywhere because Sam is clearly very powerful.
Yep.
And there's a doctor inspecting the guard on the ground and says, so you're telling me that he was skull fucked?
Yep.
just again, that to me felt like someone wanted to get the term skull fucked into the script, because there's just no way someone would look at that and go, maybe he did it with his penis. No,
No,
clearly someone wanted to write the word skull fucked, make them say it, and they found a way of doing it, and it was very funny to me because it is a term I use for probably far too much.
I generally believe there is like a bucket or something in the corner of the writer's room, which just has the most obscene things they can think of written, put on a bit of paper, folded up and chucked in. And like once an episode, they have to pull out a bit of paper. Whatever's on there has to be put in the script. This episode was skull fucked.
So episode 4, right? I'm literally what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the bullet points to you that I've got, and then I want you to run with it with your thoughts on what's going on.
Yeah, this episode, wow, there's a lot. Yeah.
You're right. So Sam and Emma escape, and they're at an abandoned like bowling arcade place. Yeah. Emma does tell him the truth about his brother. He takes it better than I thought, but obviously he's still very agitated. In my notes I've written the dynamic between these two is really nice. However, he does have some pretty serious issues. When she's speaking, he notices a TV is on. It's not actually on. And it's a kids' TV show. There's nothing really there. And the kids' TV show is telling him to go after the doctor and murder them who did this. So we know that he does genuinely have issues. Like, it wasn't just he was locked down there and they were doing experiments on him telling him he has issues. He clearly
he has some issues. Yeah.
So what were your thoughts on all those scenes at that place? Like I said, everything that's going on there, the dynamic between the two, and obviously his issue. What were your thoughts on all of that?
So due to obviously the moving house and stuff like that, I was a couple of episodes behind. And I had seen on our Discord page, someone had put, "Oh my God, the Muppets."
Yeah.
So I am watching this and I'm kind of like, I've got that in the back of my head. And when I've started seeing the TV programs that he's like seeing, I'm kind of like, oh my God, he's going to be told to do things by Muppets. This is going to be awesome and weird. Wow, was I so wrong. But with the dynamic between the two of them, I'm kind of watching it and I'm like, this is really cute, but at the same time, I'm expecting this to go really wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
But they do genuinely seem to get on really well, and there does seem to be a little bit of an attraction between the two of them.
Yeah, and there's just quite a nice connection.
I think with Emma, it's a case of someone's being nice to me.
Yeah, which is quite sad, but also very real. That seems to be
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. When you've been kind of starved of that, whenever anyone's nice, you've seen that already with her, with that guy who got her into bed. He had no interest in her really. One of the other things that's going on is obviously Emma is missing from Godolkin. Marie's looking for her because Marie sort of snapped at her before Andre took advantage of her abilities.
Yep.
And she goes to a character called Rufus. Now, Rufus
He's an interesting character.
A bit of a douchey-looking guy, but he's apparently got psychic abilities. And so she goes to him to say, look, with your abilities, can you track down Emma? He's like, yeah, I can. But you need to sit closer to me because I need to have the connection. She's like, okay, I can kind of see her. She's with some guy. Looks like, and you're like, okay, that's genuine. Like, yeah, that's right. And then she blacks out, and then she comes to in his bedroom with him standing over her with his dick out. Basically, he was about to rape her using his abilities.
Yeah, now he kind of makes this big thing of, no, it's not what it seems. It's not like that. It's not like that. But, I mean, everything is pointing very much to what it looks like, yeah.
So, he says that, it's not like that, it's not what it is. It's exactly what that is. Jordan saw him obviously take her off, obviously saw that happen. So Jordan's hammering the hell out of the door. And Jordan breaks in just as Marie has seen his dick dangling there and has used her abilities to basically make the thing, all the blood in the dick, go boom. Literally, it explodes, covering her in dick blood. I'm going to keep saying exploding dick because people really need to understand that that's what happened.
Oh,
mate, this is one of those. This is like so. Like I've written down this scene. Like she uses her ability to explode his dick.
Yep.
I'm actually very proud of the next note I wrote. Okay?
Hashtag dick pop. Yep.
The next note. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I could have written loads of stuff like that, but the next note I wrote, we have seen similar ability before.
We have.
Is she the same as that character who can pop heads? Question mark.
Well played.
I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of that.
Well played.
Because in amongst the dick popping action, that was clarity of thought from me. In this episode, we meet a suit called...
I had no clarity of thought. I watched that scene and just sat there with my legs crossed going, oh, Jesus Christ, no. Oh, no.
We meet a suit called Tech Knight. Tech Knight is on the campus. He's a TV personality who says he gets to the bottom of things. He gets the truth. His ability appears to be to kind of talk to people and get them to confess and just kind of everything. He's a bit of a weird guy. He seems a bit odd.
Of a dick.
Not really sure what it is about him that's so weird, but he's quizzing people. He speaks to the dean and says, look, I've been sent here by Volt. We got to pin it on somebody, so I'm going to pick someone to pin it on. The dean's like, well, don't pin it on anyone in their top 10, pick somebody else. He basically turns around to the dean at one point after he gets Marie to confess that she didn't stop Golden Boy. It was actually Jordan in front of a group of people.
Yep.
And he kind of turns to the dean. He's like, nah, none of these kids are good to pin it on, so I'm pinning it on you. It's going to be you. I'm going to nail you with this. We're taking you down. So there's two parts of this, okay? So, first of all, what were your first impressions of Tech Knight in all of that? And then after you've given me that, I want you then to talk about what the dean does to get out of it and what we learn about Tech Knight during that. So first of all your first impressions of Tech Knight, and then your eventual...
Yeah, so my first thoughts was he's a bit of a dick.
Yeah.
He comes across as like a proper arrogant, but it's almost like he was never actually good enough to be a soup, so therefore he kind of had to do this, and he has got such a grudge against absolutely everyone because I just have to do a shitty TV show. You guys get to be superheroes. He kind of comes across as that sort of a person.
Yeah, that's fair.
And then obviously he's going to pin it all on the dean instead, and you're kind of like, well, that's not going to go down well.
No.
And I still haven't quite worked out yet if the dean is working with Volt or against Volt. Like, I'm still a bit 50-50
at this point. I mean, at this point for me, she seemed very much Team Volt and is experimenting on kids.
Yeah.
That's where my head is at this point.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's the thing. I think my head was still like, would Volt really be doing as much as she's doing? And then I'm kind of like, yeah, no, it's Volt. They probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those. But then we find out that she gets Tech Knight to meet her out in the woods.
Yeah.
And shows him a greatest hits compilation video.
Yeah.
Of what
what's he doing, buddy? What's Tech Knight has a bit of a
he's
fetish?
Doing anything that he possibly can with a hole. Basically, yeah. The whole truth with Tech Knight becomes a whole different thing. He basically has a bit of a fetish for anything circular with a hole
that he can put himself in.
Yeah.
Yes. So basically, if there is anywhere he can put his penis, he will do it and he will shag it. We even see after she confronts him with this, like, you bring me down, I'll take you down. And he then does a show, he's like recording an outro, and he's like, oh, sometimes there is no one to blame, sometimes it's just a terrible tragedy, a young man killed himself, and everyone here is devastated, but no one's at fault. He's like, all right, okay. And then you see him clock a tree with like a little hole in the tree, and he's looking at it, and he tells his camera crew, okay, guys, take 5. I'm going to need a little while. And you're like, oh, my God.
He's going to go check
the show. This show, man. Yeah, I mean, I've seen tree huggers before. I've never seen someone literally hump one before, but...
How closely have you looked at these tree huggers? You never know.
Yeah, got wood. It would be a whole new definition. Imagine a splinter. Anyway, moving on from
that. No. What if there's a woodpecker or something in the hole? Or, a squirrel or something living in the hole?
A woodpecker,
yeah.
Well, imagine being in your home and then a penis comes slamming through. Anyway, right, look, I've got to stop talking about this now. Yeah. So, Sam, we know, is hearing voices. The voices say, go after that doctor. He does. God. Emma realises, so goes back to her group of friends to rally them to try and stop him. They get there just in time, and the whole group have to fight him to try and stop him. And actually,
dude, we've missed
we then learn that Emma's powers go the other way.
Yes.
So if she throws up, she shrinks. If she carb loads, like she starts eating from the... Because I was like, why is she doing that? Maybe she needs something to be sick. Like, do you know what I mean? I was thinking, why is she eating?
No, she's going the other way. Yeah.
And she actually gets big and is able to hold him down. Like, she's actually able then to do it. And we're like, what the fuck is going on? And then, bang! Everything goes black.
Yes.
And they all kind of wake up. And I'm like, what the just happened? And they all wake up like none of that just happened. Like, none of that was real.
Yeah.
And that's the end of the episode.
Yes. One scene I realised we missed. The tunnel scene when Sam first starts ripping through.
That's in the next episode.
Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it already happened. No, my bad. No. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. Yeah, no, so because on this protection he gets away.
That's it. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, he runs away and then they chase him down.
Yeah.
Yes.
So episode 5 opens with all our characters very, very confused. And they're basically all just like they're drunk, not really sure what's going on. Marie wakes up next to Jordan, which is kind of like, ooh, hello.
Did we just? Yeah.
Did we? And which version of you was I? Okay. I gotta be honest with you. If you're bisexual, Jordan would just be like the best, wouldn't he? Wouldn't they?
They would really. That ticks all boxes in one.
Tonight I feel like cock. So could you be the male version? Yeah. Anyway, the scene opens with all of them very confused, and there's a lot of social media posting showing that basically they went to some sort of house party rager, all got wasted. There's a video of Emma giant in a pool. She wakes up like in a swimming pool, like it's a bathtub because she's giant.
Yeah, that's
and there's a video of her like partying, going wild.
Is there just like a tarpaulin to sit underneath?
Yeah. So Emma and Marie are kind of like, wow, what a crazy night. I don't remember. No, I don't remember. And they're kind of having this moment where, I don't know about you, man, but I've had this where I've kind of been like with a mate or something, and we're sat there and we're just trying to piece our night together. And like, how did we get? Yeah, I remember being there. Like I remember us having a drink there, and then someone said tequila. And then I've got these couple of hours of blankness. Then I remember this. So I was kind of like feeling, okay, I really remember these types of conversations. But Emma and Maria are there, and then Sam finds them. And they don't know him. And Emma, it was kind of heartbreaking for him because he's built this little bond with her.
And now she's like, who are you?
And I was kind of worried about what was going to happen. But he actually says, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to make it so they make you remember again. And then he runs off.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, wow, okay. But we as the audience are watching. We know they've had their minds wiped. So I'm thinking, Rufus, that son of a bitch, is clearly working with the Dean.
Yeah.
Or Vault have got the ability to do this, and we don't know about it. But, you know, all kind of things. Knowing what we then know later on, it's so friggin' obvious it wasn't Rufus.
Yeah.
And it is kind of almost embarrassing that I didn't pick up on it. So I'm just going to give it to you. Did you work out who it actually was earlier than being told?
No.
No, I didn't either. But now you know... It's so friggin' obvious because she was there.
The whole time.
Yeah. So, like I said, so Sam finds him, says this, and they're kind of confused. Who the hell was that guy? But Emma then goes, oh, but he was kind of cute, and I loved that. I was kind of like, those two had this real nice little connection. But he says something to them about, look, you know, you don't remember our time together. We were at this arcade. I can't remember what the name of the place was. And she's like, no, I don't. And then he leaves. But later on, she finds the hoodie she was wearing when she was there. Because you remember she shrunk down, and when she came back to normal size, she just needed something to put on.
And she was wearing like the bowling alley arcade kind of hoodie, yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, so when she finds that, she goes to the place to try and find Sam, because she's like, okay, I need to work out what's going on.
Yeah.
Marie, whilst they are talking, has like an itch in her shoulder, wondering what the hell's going on. Using her blood power ability, she finds a tracking chip has been implanted in her shoulder, and she rips it out.
Which was gross. But yeah.
She goes to Kate, because her and Kate are friends, and Kate's on the same team as her, and she's just like, Kate, you know, this is going on, what's going on? And we see Kate wipe her mind, and we all realise it's not Rufus.
Yeah. When that happens, I'm sat there like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was just absolutely, you absolute, what the fucking hell. So, yeah, like I said, Emma does find Sam. He tells her that it's Kate, you know, and basically tells her just as everyone else is kind of piecing it together. Yeah. So, like, there's this scene where, like, they're kind of confronting Kate, and Emma's on the phone, like, it's Kate, we know!
Yeah.
So kind of loved that scene. What did you think about Andre in that? Because Andre clearly loves her, clearly has had a thing with her for a while. How do you think he was feeling in that moment? And again, one of the things I was worried about with this show was like, oh, I don't want to just all be like teenage angst and, oh, so-and-so's with so-and-so. And then I've ended up getting really into it.
Yeah. No, I think our poor old Andre is very, I think conflicted is the right word for it, isn't it? When he's like, okay, so what you're doing is really bad and awful and we must stop you. But I can't love you.
He's very angry, and with good reason, I think. Very angry. The scene you mentioned, we're going to talk about it now. So basically, Sam is being hunted by Vault to try and take him back to the woods. And he is having these visions in his mind of Muppets talking to him. And in essence, he hears a helicopter overhead. He's like in a tunnel, like a motorway tunnel. And then all of a sudden, abseiling down are all these Muppets that he sees.
Yeah.
And what we as the audience see is him tearing these Muppets apart. Like, quite literally tearing the heads off of them.
One of them
ripping their arms off. One he rips in half. One he takes an arm off and shoves it up its ass.
Yeah.
And every time he does this, red confetti flies through the air.
Yeah.
How far into that?
Theoretical masterpiece. Yeah.
How far into that scene did it dawn on you he's not seeing this in his mind? These are actually people.
Sadly, quite quickly. I realised, but I just fucking lived it. I loved it. That was like so good to watch. I was laughing my way through it.
Wow, that's messed up.
I was laughing through it, and at the same time going, in a minute, you know, like in the back of your head, you're like, this is hilarious to watch. But in a second, I'm aware I'm going to see the real life side of it, and it's going to be gross as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, basically, you didn't need to see. I mean, it was a very clever way of doing some pretty graphic, nasty violence without having to actually show the graphic, nasty violence. Yeah. But you see the aftermath. The aftermath is quite literally headless people on the ground.
A guy swinging
sticking out of there.
Yeah. There's a guy, or half a guy just swinging from the zip line.
Yeah, and him covered head to toe, not in glitter, but in blood.
Yeah.
And you realise that Sam, like Golden Boy, is ridiculously OP. He's ridiculously overpowered. Yeah. And he is just ripped through all of those people. We saw him escape the facility and kill a load of guards. Well, he's now just ripped through it. Like they're nothing, like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah.
So that is quite... When you consider his mental state, that is quite a worrying turn of events. So
it's not exactly like it was difficult. They were fully armoured, and he at least just walked through them like they were puppets. You know.
The other thing we learn in this episode, which is kind of where I think the discussion over the Dean changed for me, is the doctor who's been experimenting on the soup says he is now close to perfecting the virus that will give them control over soups.
Yeah.
Now, what is interesting for me in this is that straight away I'm like, Vault. That has to be a Vault thing. That's what this whole thing's about. Do you remember us talking about the main guy at Vault when he wasn't intimidated by Homelander, and we were convinced there must be a failsafe?
Yes.
There must be something. He must have something that makes him so friggin' ice cold around this sociopath.
No,
and there didn't appear to be anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there didn't appear to be anything. But in this, we're seeing that they're using these kind of sonic things to make the soups kind of go, you know, to debilitate them.
Yeah.
And also now we hear about this virus, and I'm like, it must be, you know, it must be why this guy's so calm. There must be something.
Yeah.
But he regardless of why he's so calm, what the Dean then says is what raises my eyebrows. Like, how infectious can this be? How infectious is it? And I'm kind of like, well, hang on a minute.
Yeah, now make it contagious. And it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What?
It's like, if you've got this virus that gives you control, surely you just want to be able to be like, okay, welcome to the 7. Yeah, we're just going to take a quick blood sample, give you some, you know, like a vitamin injection. There we go. Bang, they're done. You've got them on, you know, it's in their system. We now have you. You ever turn on us, we click a button and you freaking drop to your knees and, you know, beg for mercy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but she's on about making it contagious.
Yeah.
Now, and I was thinking to myself, does that mean she wants it to naturally every single soup? But then why would she do that? So that raised an eyebrow. Obviously, there's more to come. But
so at that point, when she says about making it contagious, I'm like, okay, so she is anti-soup.
Yeah.
She is not a super. Like, nothing was said to show that she was or wasn't powered herself.
Yeah.
But at that scene of making it contagious, I'm now like, right, I now know she's number one, she's not a soup. And number two, she's anti-soup, but why is she anti-soup?
Did you get that straight from the contagious part then? Because I didn't get it until we found out that it could kill the soups, and she was like, yeah, ramp it up.
No, I like, kind of, from that, I went, okay, she's anti-soup, but why? Like,
oh, okay.
That was like a big one, because she makes a comment to the doctor, doesn't she, about, you know, he's like, no, I'm done. This is wrong, I'm done.
Yeah, but that's the next part.
That's the next bit, isn't it? Yeah. And that's when I started getting really, like, I wonder if she's bad. Yeah. But she's anti-soup, but how anti-soup? It was on that conversation where I started going, holy crap, she's really anti-soup.
Okay. So we talked about this incredible, violent, gross, but incredible scene where Sam is ripping through Muppets.
Yeah.
I want to talk about another scene with a Muppet now, where basically Emma goes to find him. She's now got her memories back, and the attraction takes over. They kiss. He admits he's never been with anyone because he spent his entire teenage life locked up in this cell.
Yeah.
And so she takes charge. It's kind of a beautiful moment. Real connection between the two. She's taken over, and he's just led there. You know, beautiful young woman with him. And then he looks down,
and it's Miss Piggy.
As she begins the ride, let's say.
Yeah.
And he looks and he goes, "What the fuck?" And basically, Emma's now a Muppet.
Yeah.
And is fucking him. And he's like, "Are you okay, Sam?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh my god!" One, why does it have to be my name?
Yeah.
Why? Two. Never in my life did I perceive that I would see Muppet porn. It was not something that was on a bucket list for me. It was not.
See, I think I am senior at this point. Unfortunately, I can't say I haven't ever seen, because I saw a stage show called Avenue Q.
Yeah.
Where there's quite a big scene in that, which is quite a basically Kama Sutra for puppets. In the middle of this show, it's a very comedy piss take of Sesame Street and the Muppets and everything. If you haven't seen Avenue Q, YouTube it. It's amazing.
You did send me a link because you were trying to describe it to me, and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you watching?
Yeah, no, honestly, it was on stage. It's a real thing.
It's a real thing. Whatever, man. You go into the dark web with this shit.
But yeah, that was a scene where, like, you're like, okay, so Sam clearly has bigger issues than we realised.
Yes, and the character in the TV show does too.
Yeah, I had a very slight worry when she turned into the puppet Muppet
that he was going to kill her.
He was going to kill her, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but luckily she rides through that, and he then sees her again, and he relaxes and blows his load. So I just wow, what a fun show this is. Kate is giving back the memories to the group having been confronted, and because she's using her power so much, she sort of collapses. When she collapses, she kind of goes into a trance and unfortunately drags those around her in. So Jordan, Andre, and Marie, and just a random guy who was there,
that poor kid
ends up
is
dragged.
just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, just like dragged into her subconscious. They're in her subconscious and they're seeing the day, and we've heard this story that basically her powers manifested when she told, I think it was her little sister or little brother, to go away and never come back. And because of her abilities, literally did that.
Yeah, that's
so as like lost. So we see this really terrifying scene where the police are taking her away because her parents are scared of her. Like, I can't have her around me. She's terrifying. And so there's this real, and even the policeman's like trying to keep a distance from her, like, yeah, come with me, little girl, just stay over there, don't get too close. But out of nowhere, we get another cameo from the main show, and it's Soldier Boy. And we get, now I said this to you, right? There's a TV show called Supernatural, and the guy who created that show is the guy who's created The Boys, Eric Kripke.
Yep.
And the guy who plays Soldier Boy is an actor who starred in all 15 seasons of Supernatural and then has come across to play this character. So clearly knows him, gets on really well. Yeah. I've seen interviews that they love each other. They're great friends. I feel, to me anyway, that this is I'm going to write stuff to try and break my friend. Like, Jensen Ackles is a funny actor, but ever since he joined this show, almost every scene Soldier Boy, every line, everything he has to deliver is just so messed up. From his first appearances making Bill Cosby jokes and stuff like that, to this, where he basically says, I was her imaginary boyfriend, actually. I taught her how to jerk off, and you're like, oh my god. Yeah. The outtakes for this must be unreal.
Well, there's just a line where Andre tells him, you're pretty fucking weird, dude, and Soldier Boy, yeah, knock knock, who's there? Go fuck your face.
Yeah. I mean, Soldier Boy,
fucking brilliant.
Soldier Boy's messed up. Soldier Boy's hilarious.
Yeah.
And as a cameo in her subconscious, because like I was her imaginary boyfriend, is hilarious. It's so stupid and so funny. The boys can get away with it. Yeah. He talks about her raw dogging a pillow until she saw God, and then refers to it as romantic. and then this guy who's like this random guy who's in there is like, yeah man, like goes to like do a fist bump, and he's like, fuck off. Just So Soldier Boy's hilarious. Seriously messed up. Did you notice as well when he rocked up, Soldier Boy has his own like Captain America style bit of music that plays?
Yes.
I'm like, I know, we all know who he's modelled on. Like, you don't have to just paint the picture every single time. It's so messed up. It is very funny.
Yeah.
Very funny. So throughout these memories, we start to learn some shit. So Kate kind of trapping them in her subconscious is basically revealing that the Dean groomed and manipulated her into this from day one.
Yeah.
So basically got her into Godolkin on the basis of your abilities, can help so many people, and just literally, for me, it was like, okay, I made a note earlier that the Dean was sort of grooming Marie. We're now seeing that is the sort of thing she does.
Yeah, there's a couple of times with Marie, like the hugs that she gives Marie, and the look on her face, you're like, is it right? It's not right, something's going on. And then we see these memories of Kate, and you're like, oh, That's the sort of level she'll go to. Right.
We learn that Kate was wiping Golden Boy's mind on a regular basis. Is why he was so fucked up.
Yeah.
It was really bad. We learned that Kate was sleeping with Andre the whole time, and he's confronted by Golden Boy in the memory. That was a really quite messed up scene.
Yep.
We also learned that.
Oh, go on.
We also learned that Jordan knew Golden Boy had serious issues, knew that he was being wiped, and didn't do anything to get ahead.
Yeah, so
and that
each
was
memory
that was
that
messed
they go
up.
through, each memory they go through kind of reveals the big fault of said person's memory. And each one you kind of go, oh, damn. Like, they've all kind of got this moral high ground over Kate, because I can't believe what you've done, Kate. That's disgusting. Like, how could you do this? And then each one of these memories kind of shows that, she's doing this, but, you were doing this, and then you were doing this, and you could have done this. It's like,
when they finally escape the situation in her mind, Sam is caught up with, and he wants to kill Kate for what she's done. Emma stops him, sort of talks him down, but then as a group, they all kind of decide the woods, all of it has to go. We're going to take it down together. And you're kind of like, okay, this is like a team moment. They're all coming together. Everyone's on the same page. We're wrong on this.
Yeah.
but that's kind of where we fought. But this is the next scene we were talking about. The virus that Vought have been working on is killing Soups, but the Dean is happy. The doctor's not. The doctor's like, oh, it's killed him, after exposure. And the doctor's like, this is great. Don't tell Vought. Can it be made even more infectious? And you're like, holy shit. Okay. You are not actually working for Vought. Maybe Vought are funding the research to get control, but you're turning it into a weapon to kill Soups.
Yeah.
And that was, messed up. Kate obviously tells the group, like, me and the Dean have got this great relationship. I'll get her, I'll call her and we'll meet her and we'll confront her with everything that's going on. And we learn during this episode that why the Dean hates Soups.
How quickly did you click on?
That it was the plane that Homelander took down.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as I think it was Marie found the file with like, oh, it was her husband and thing. We're on this flight. I was like, flight? Yep, I know.
Yeah,
what this
as soon as they said flight, it was like, oh shit, that's like that was season 1 of The Boys. Shit, there's the link. Oh dear.
And basically, since then, she's wanted all Soups dead, and we see her go and meet Grace Mallory, who's Butcher's kind of go-to CIA person, and also has a serious issue with Soups.
Fun cameo. Yeah.
Yeah,
like
and Butcher's mentioned in this. She's like, look, I know someone who's so obsessed with killing Soups that they've lost sight of who they are.
Yeah.
Like, please, step back from this and let's discuss it. And she's like, no, I'm going to kill them all. And she has the ability. And then we see Grace make a phone call. Keep an eye on her.
Yeah.
We don't know who she calls.
We don't, but do we assume?
I would say she is called one of the boys at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a call to Butcher. I think it might have been a call to Frenchie, because that's more Frenchie's thing. Don't you think? Keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Or MM. There definitely wouldn't have been Huey. Huey ain't up to keeping an eye on anyone.
No, he can just look after himself. Bless him.
So the Doctor realises the Dean just wants to kill everyone and not control them.
Yeah.
So he approaches Victoria Newman.
Again,
Victoria
another
Newman,
fun cameo.
is a person we all know from the Boys main series. She is someone who campaigns to have stricter controls on superheroes. She's a champion of the people. What most people, or no one but the audience watching, know is she is a super self, and anyone who gets in her way, she literally pops their heads. She is the head popper. We see her give a talk at Godolphin, and the crowd get all fired up and are wound up, and because they're all Soups, and they're like, Soups rights, and again, this mirror to society is really kind of disturbing. You know, "Make Godolkin Great Again" was written on a few T-shirts.
That cracked me up.
Yeah, there was a fair old bit going on there. One of the things that does go on there, which is very worrying, is Sam kind of gets caught up in all of this crowd and ends up going to this rally, and he's listening to a lot of the hate speech that people are shouting, and he's kind of like, why are people angry? Why are they doing this? And that Rufus asshole basically says to him, "Oh, you know, people want to suppress superheroes. They want to put us down and take away our rights." And Sam's like, well, that's not good. And he's like radicalized instantly. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's so
innocent and naive that he just gets told, well, this is bad, and he goes, no, you're right, that isn't good. Yeah, it
is messed up. So like I said, it is messed up. He is sort of there, and you gotta wonder, like, whether, you know, how bad that could be potentially. Definitely.
Instantly, you're kind of instantly going, oh, that's not a character you want in that situation.
No, I agree. So the group are kind of racing around trying to sort of keep things together. Emma's trying to get to Sam. Sam's angry and kind of like doesn't want to be controlled. You know, he feels like the people are trying to control him and stuff like that. And he kind of argues with Emma, which is a bit sad. Victoria Newman gives this speech and then has a one-to-one meeting with Marie. So basically Marie and Jordan fight to get to her to tell her what's going on because they think Victoria Newman can help. Victoria Newman takes all the information and says, yeah, I'll help you, definitely. But then reveals to Marie that she is a super self. And they have the same powers. And not only does she reveal that to her, she reveals that she found out about her abilities and it's actually her that got her into Godolkin and is funding her education.
Yeah.
Oof, that was a lot.
That was a lot. And I'm like, oh, wait, but we know, like, Victoria Newman, like, she's not a good character in this.
No.
And it's suddenly like, oh, no. What, are we seeing the start of is this like a villain origin story with Marie? Like, is she going to kind of go with Victoria Newman because she doesn't know anything different? And
well,
I'm like,
Victoria Newman is very much Team Vault, but publicly is anti-Vault. Everyone thinks that she is, the public anyway, think that she is a regular person, and she doesn't, you know, none of this is going on, and she's sort of regular.
Take down Vault. Yeah. But actually,
and in reality, she is very much Team Vault and is doing all she can to kind of run the table from both sides, working with Vault. And so this doctor approaches her about this, you know, oh, there's a virus and she's got me doing this. And he's like, oh, thank you so much for coming to me. He's like, is this everything? Are these all your notes? Yeah. So there's nothing else? No. And the only person who can possibly do this is you. And I'm like, oh, mate, say hundreds of people. Say something.
Don't say only me.
It's like, say only you know the cure, man. Say something. And she's like, okay, great. Boom, pops his head.
It's the business card. Here's the card with all the details for a safe house.
Yeah.
Oh, there's been a mistake. Bang!
Yeah,
oh,
pops his head. I knew it was coming as well. Like, I knew it was coming. Everything she said to him.
Yeah.
And I was just waiting for it to happen, and it happened, and then the music, Off With His Head, starts playing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're so messed up.
Yeah,
now, I thought that was messed up.
So much?
I didn't think this episode could get more messed up than that. But there's two other things. One thing is Polarity. Polarity is Andre's dad, and he's struggling, having a mental breakdown. And on TV, his powers go crazy and start smashing shit up. Yeah. So Andre rushes to his side. So that's where Andre is.
Yep.
Kate is with the Dean, and all the others arrive just as Kate is basically gone full radical. I'm going to take down the whole fucking thing. Everyone who's a normal person's going to die because they've done this to me and they've done this to us. And she gets the Dean to cut her own throat.
Now, in this thing,
that was probably the most messed up thing.
I was convinced all the way up to the last second that the Dean had got Kate on side and that this was like a ploy. Like, this is a play. No. This is like, you know, this isn't... She's just telling them what they need, and then Kate's actually going to be on the Dean's side still. And then all of a sudden she goes, now it's time. And she slits her throat, and I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, holy shit. And Marie goes to save her, and she stops Marie. She literally uses her powers, like, don't save her.
Yeah. Which is messed up, because then Marie has to just stand and watch, knowing what she could do. That's messed up.
So, knowing like Kate, her ability, and knowing her mindset now, she then, by saying what she's done, and what's just happened with Sam is Team Kate. So Sam and Kate leave together to go and free everybody from the woods and take the woods down.
Yep. And
the rest of the group are just there kind of, what the shit are we going to do? Marie, Jordan, and Emma just... Andre's with his father, and they basically say that his powers, his abilities, which Andre has the same, are killing him. His powers have caused like serious brain issues, and the doctor says to him, have you had any problems like this? He's like, well, I'm dizzy sometimes, and he's like, okay, we need you to do some tests. And so basically Andre's now fully aware that if he uses his powers like his dad has over the years, he's going to end up the same way.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like a throwaway moment, but it's quite significant, because it basically means now we know that every time Andre uses his powers for any reason, he's running the risk of mental damage and
potentially killing himself.
So that's, in essence, so that's kind of quite a side note. Kate and Sam do go into the woods, just ripping through the guards. They see the virus firsthand. They're freeing people left, right, and centre, but they're freeing them on the basis that they go and kill people. Like leave Soups alone, go and kill people, regular people, find them and kill them. And you see a couple of them literally walk up to people going, "Hey, are you a Soup? Are you a Soup? Oh no, I'm a teacher." Bang, kills them.
It's gruesome.
It is messed up.
It almost as messed up as Kate telling the guard to eat his own hand.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
That's messed up. Yeah, eat your own hand. Now, okay.
Now, another cameo is Ashley Barrett. Ashley Barrett's been sort of cameoing with various phone calls and stuff throughout this, but she's actually on campus today with Vault.
Yes.
And everything goes crazy. The alarms go. Kate's running it all. All of these people have come out of the woods and are just ripping through people. It is carnage.
Yes.
And we start to get conversations. So like Sam and Emma have a confrontation. Emma's very upset.
Yep.
And like Sam storms off, but when she's so emotional, so upset, she shrinks.
Yeah.
So the trigger for her shrinking isn't just being sick. There must be something else. It must be her emotional state. Yeah.
Which when you think about how much she hated the fact she had to make herself sick. Like,
it's almost like the situation with her mother made her go that way. You remember her mum kept making comments like, "Oh, you don't want to put on weight because you want to do this stuff," and it's almost like, okay, she did have a kind of eating disorder because of her mother, and she then, it just broke her heart that she thought that was the only way. So that was interesting. I thought that was interesting. That's in amongst all the chaos, of course, because it is chaos. Everything's going crazy, and Sam starts to see his brother, Golden Boy. Golden Boy's in his head, like, what are you doing?
He's not impressed with his brother's actions, that's for sure.
He's like, what are you doing? Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. So Kate turns to him and says, do you want me to make it so you don't feel anything? And he says yes. And so she touches him, feel nothing. And so basically we've now got Sam, who is ridiculously overpowered, has been radicalized to kill people and protect Soups because people have got in his head telling him that Soups were being, attacked. And he now won't feel anything. No conscience, no love, no anything. He now won't feel a thing. So he is literally just a cold-hearted killing machine now.
Which is terrifying.
And he is, which is terrifying because he has got that about him. We see, all these confrontations are going on, and we see Marie try to get through to Kate, but isn't able to do it. Jordan and Marie are doing their best to try and get Ashley Barrett, etc., out of there. They're trying to be the heroes, basically. They are trying to save people.
Yes.
And we see this moment where Kate is walking towards Jordan with her hand out, ready to kind of take Jordan and take it under control.
Yeah.
And Marie explodes her arm.
Did not expect that.
No, that was so messed up.
There's a lot in this show that I didn't expect to happen, and pretty much all of it happened. So, yeah.
So talking about stuff you didn't expect to happen, that happens, and straight away we get another cameo. Did you expect that?
Not even slightly. Nope.
No.
And
Homelander
then
arrives.
When he lands, he just looks at Marie. What? Like, he does the whole, shush, nope, don't talk sort of thing. He's like, what sort of an animal are you? And she's like, what? It's like, who goes around hurting their fellow soups? What sort of monster are you? And it's like, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh shit, I forgot how much of a dick Homelander was. Oh no. Like, Homelander's the sort of person that would be there. Yeah, you would expect Homelander to be there, kind of like just cheering on Kate and Sam, and that's pretty much what he does.
I thought he was going to rock up to save Ashley Barrett. I thought Ashley Barrett's put in a call. He's going to rock up to get her out of there, Vought. But he rocks up. They probably have put the call in, and he rocks up, and it's just like, just attacking your own. It's disgusting. And he takes her down. And
I thought she was dead.
Him like laser eyes. Yeah, he just like fires up the laser eyes.
I was like, oh shit, that's the end of her then.
And then everything goes blank again, like it did when the memory was wiped. And we get a propaganda news story of Sam and Kate, the Guardians of Godolkin, saved the rogue superheroes who were murdering people. And they basically named Marie, Andre, Emma and Jordan.
Yeah.
As these bad people.
And in my head, I'm like, shit, they killed all of them. Oh my god, they've literally wiped out all 4 of them.
But then we see all 4 of them wake up in a hospital with no doors and windows in a lab.
Yeah.
Where are they? Who are they with?
How did they get there? There's no doors. Yeah.
Are they in Vought, or have they been grabbed by somebody else? Were they saved perhaps by somebody? Because we then see, as an end credit, because that's the end of the episode, like the episode ends, you're like, oh my god, and I was kind of like, just like, that was nuts. Like the episode was like bang, bang, bang from start to finish, and then you get an after credit scene of a certain character investigating the now abandoned Woods laboratory.
Yeah.
Would you like to revisit the infamous line from this character?
What a bunch of cunts.
Billy Butcher, another cameo. I mean, just wasn't expecting this one either.
No, as an after credit scene, I didn't know what to expect, but this wasn't it.
Billy Butcher investigating the Woods. What a bunch of cunts. And so
and
Billy
that smile
is there.
He does, it's like, oh,
he just evil. So Billy's now aware of this virus existing and it kills soups. He's gonna love that, by the way.
Oh, he's gonna be on board for that. Yeah.
But what do you think? Where are they? Do you think Vought have got them and have just got them locked down in a lab? Because obviously it was Vought who were then in charge of that scene. Or do you think Homelander took them all down, left, and perhaps Billy was there and he took them, and perhaps they're actually with the boys?
No, I think they're in Vought.
Yeah, I think a Vought.
A Vought, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. But there is going to be a season 2 of this. We know from everything that happened in this that the next season of The Boys is going to carry on from it. The showrunners made it really clear that this is a spin-off that ties in. So it's not going to be its standalone thing just happening in another corner of the universe. This is different set of characters, but the story is interlinked.
And I think the way they've done the interlinked by adding just a couple of characters here and there in like the cameos, I think was so well done that they are just going to be able to carry it on. Like the first episode of the next series, they can literally mention the university.
Well, it's going to be interesting because obviously, because we have seen Billy go and investigate.
Yeah.
So we know that in the next series of The Boys that there's got to be some sort of fallout from that.
Yeah.
Because a virus that kills soups, you got to believe he's going to want that.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, his wife's kid is a soup.
Yep.
is that going to make him conflicted? Here's a virus to kill all soups, but do I want all soups dead?
I know, but the boy was a bit of a dick, so possibly.
No, he told him, don't be. Well, by the end, actually, the end of that, he's gone full Homelander, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So don't be a cunt. Yeah, and he is being one, so perhaps he's all team.
Yep.
But Billy had a bit of a thing with Queen Maeve as well, so he was happy, and of course he was also nailing Compound V himself. So would that mean the virus would take him out?
That is true.
Who knows? But there is a hell of a lot, and we've tried to cover as much as we can. Appreciate everybody for listening. I hope you've enjoyed Gen V as much as we did. We will be back to discuss The Boys in the next season when it comes, and it's going to heavily link, I think. So when we put this show out, I will encourage everyone who's a fan of The Boys, if they haven't tried Gen V yet, to give it a go. Apologies again if you find yourself swearing a lot more today after listening to this show. We were told by many listeners last time that was a real side effect. But yeah, it's what it is. Mate, was there anything else you wanted to add on this show before we wrap up?
No, I think we've covered nigh on everything now, to be honest.
Yeah, perfect. That's what I like to hear. So again, thank you everybody for listening. We really appreciate it. If you're a fan of Marvel, our Loki series podcasts are available now, episodes 1 through 6 for the whole of season 2. Arguably the best Disney Plus Marvel series there has been to date. Also, we will be talking about the Marvels movie, the sequel to Captain Marvel. That is now in cinemas, and we'll be discussing that very soon, hopefully next week, but who knows in this mad world we live in. But yeah, that'll be very soon as well, so if you're a fan of that, please listen out. Fear the Walking Dead is wrapping, and our show discussing the final episodes of that series will be available next week for everybody. So yeah, still lots of content out there, lots to come. Keep an eye on our socials for all the upcoming shows and what's available. If you ever have a show that you get into late and we've talked about, you can always find the archive for every podcast on our website, which is all the W's, stuffandthangspodcast.com. And if you want to talk to us directly about any of the shows we talk about, or any TV show or movie, and you just want to chat to us, you can join us on our Discord. The link to that will be in the podcast description. There you go. I think I've done all of it.
Covered.
Big thank you, everybody. We'll be back really soon. And, well, say goodbye to the lovely people, my friend.
Goodbye, all of you lovely people.
And I'll leave you all with this.
What are you greasy sack of fucknuts doing in here?
What in the fuck?
Soldier Boy? What are you doing in here?
I'm Kate's imaginary friend from when she was a kid. Boyfriend, really. I taught her how to jerk off. Diddle that skittle, flick the bean. How to find that man in the canoe. She came like a faucet. She'd crank up the Jonas Brothers. She'd hump a Soldier Boy pillow. She'd raw dog that pillow till she saw God.
Gross.
It was pretty romantic.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.